We have watched some videos from my dude Willow. He has done some videos talking about DC Comics. He's really DC Comics, no, DC Dual Force. He's really excited about the game as we are, and he has created some cool videos about this game. And he made this video called DC Dual Force versus Marvel Snap. And of course, this is a topic that is, you know, that you wanna know what he's saying in here. So we are going to watch this video. And he says in the description, yes, now I never had to talk about this again. Yes, he doesn't wanna talk about the competition between Dual Force and Marvel Snap, and I understand why. Because sometimes people are like too, how do you say this, tribalistic. Like, for example, I am drinking Coca-Cola right now. If you like Coca-Cola, you can't like Pepsi. That is stupid. You can like both. So maybe that is what he means, that he doesn't want to talk about this because he enjoys, or he, well, we don't know how Dual Force is going to be, but we can enjoy both games, and I agree. I will probably like both games, so maybe that is the reason he wants to get this out of the way. But let's see what he says on the video, brother. Let me pause the music. There we go.
Is just weeks away, and I've already seen a decent amount of Marvel Snap versus DC Dual Force rhetoric. And to be clear, I don't like these conversations. I understand the drive to compare the two. I understand where that comes from, but I'm a person who intends to play both Marvel Snap and DC Dual Force, and comparing the two can be interesting, but I feel like a lot of the comparisons are done in a disheartful way. I love Marvel Snap as it currently is, and I have very high hopes for the unreleased Dual Force and what we already know about the game.
Well, I love Marvel Snap. You guys know it, brother. I have 200 videos talking about Marvel Snap. But he said something there, like, I love Marvel Snap how it currently is. And there is a lot to not love about current Marvel Snap. Of course, the gameplay is awesome. The gameplay is cool. That hasn't changed. But as the time progresses, as time goes onward, we have realized that the collection system and the token shop and the release of new cars, the cadent release of cars, is hampering the game, brother. It is harmful for the game, and they need to figure this shit out, in my opinion. My hype has died down for sure, and I know that for a lot of people hype has died down too, because the game doesn't allows hype to live, because they kill it with the release schedule, with the prices of things. So yes, that part of the game I don't love. Of course, I still love the gameplay, and they released a new patch that has revitalized the game a little bit, and we should have the ODA patch this Thursday, the first ODA patch that they say they are going to do weekly, so maybe that changes things up again. So yes, that part I am excited about, but the monetization part I am not as excited about. So I hope the DC game manages to have a better collection system. I can't say they will have a better collection system because I don't know shit what they are going to do. Maybe it is worse, but I really, really hope it is better, brother. And of course, that is, you have a Marvel Snap game. DC is going to launch a card game. The competition between Marvel and DC has been going on for 50 years. Of course you are going to have people comparing the games. Of course. And of course you are when the game launches, you are going to have people that say, no, Marvel Snap is better because of this and that. And there are going to be people saying, no, DC Dual Force is better because of this and that. And you know what? I am probably going to be one of those people, because everyone has preferences, and I am going to say I like X game better, but you know what, I will probably like both, and I will probably play both. But of course I am going to have a preference for one or the other, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy both things. And for what we have seen about DC Dual Force, aside from being a DC game, apparently they aren't trying to and a card game, they aren't trying to directly compete with Marvel Snap, because the DC game appears to be a little more complicated and maybe will have longer games and Marvel Snap seems to be more casual, you know. On the surface, we don't really know what DC is going to do.
Game is incredibly promising. As much as
Yo, Captain Ice! How you doing, my sister? Everything is fucking cool.
I would like to avoid conversations like this, that's not going to stop people asking me questions, whether it be in Twitch chat, in videos, in Discord, about the two games and what I think about the differences. I'm going to answer as many of those questions as possible in this video. That way I don't have to continue to have the same conversation over again. I can just point to this video and be like, hey, if you want to know my thoughts about Marvel Snap versus DC Dual Force, go watch this video and you'll have a better understanding about how I feel about it. I just don't like having these conversations, so I'm just going to
I understand this perspective completely. He doesn't want to talk about this. He believes this topic is annoying. So whenever people asking, brother, what about DC versus Marvel? Watch my video. I already talked about that. I don't want to talk about that. I'll be honest, I will probably talk about that every time someone asks me. And it will happen so much that people will just stop asking me because they will already know. I am great. I am great. Thank you, Captain Ice. I am fucking great.
Gonna have the one conversation the one time and then move on. So I'll say it as clear as day right now. I'm a Marvel Snap player for life. I love the game as it is, and I don't see a future where I'm not playing the game in some shape or form. And while DC Dual Force is...
I will tell you, Willow. This is a joke, of course. But you are not going to like the game the same when they rework Galactus for you, because I know Galactus is your favorite card. And people are complaining about Galactus. They are going to rework Galactus at some point, and then you are going to not like the game as much.
Isn't out yet. I have very high hopes for the game. The people behind the game know what they're doing, and it's a lifelong dream of mine to have a DC digital card game because I love card games and I love DC. There's been DC physical card games and I've enjoyed those, but it's really hard for me to enjoy a physical card game just because I live in such a remote area. So for me to...
True, brother, true. That happens to me. I have never played a physical card game. You know why? Because I live in a third world shithole. Nobody cares about playing card games because people are worried about eating, you know. That is the principal concern. Physical card games over here exist, of course, but they are too expensive. So there is only a handful of people playing. There are no big communities. It is really weird. You can do it over here. Basically, you can do it over here, brother. Because with one pack of cards cost, you can have 3 meals a day, you know. So people over here don't play physical cards, card games. So you can do it. That is why I'm pissed off. I have seen pictures and videos about a new card game for Disney called Lorcana. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it is a physical card game. Brother, release the shit online, digital, so we can play that. It is a stupid only physical, brother. So yes, I am also happy that DC now is releasing a digital card game. And of course, brother, my favorite superhero is Batman, so I am excited. All DC has to do in this game is say, you can have a full collection in our game and we have Batman. And that is all you have to do. You have Batman, brother. Marvel Snap is never going to have Batman, and that is just awful, brother.
To be really able to...
Oh, send my happy birthday to Demo. It is late now, but send it. He will appreciate it either way, brother. He will appreciate it either way.
Sink my teeth into a card game, it needs to be digital. Despite my love for both of these two games, this video is all about comparing the two. So let's do it. Let's start with Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap is a mobile-first game. A lot of the decision-making, a lot of the core design philosophy of the game is built around the fact that it is a mobile game. Games are not...
True, and that is the reason why there are so many things that I hate about the game. That is the reason, brother, because yes, all these tactics with the monetization bullshit are centered around being a mobile game. Let's be honest.
Nice and fast. There are 12 card decks, just one card type. You know, there's no spells, minions, field spells, trinkets, whatever. There's just cards. Marvel Snap games last 1 to 7 turns. Technically, it can be up to 1 to 9 if you count Kang resets and then also Limbo. But the typical game is 1 to 6 turns, and already that sounds good, but really, the 1 to 6 turn timer, or what I've got written on this graphic, the 1 to 7 turn timer, is actually more like 3 turns, because the traditional card game would have those turns be separate, but Marvel Snap has simultaneous turns, so the pacing of 6 turns feels more like 3 turns. There's no packs in Marvel Snap. Instead, you collect cards in a a very unique way. There's no combat or damage calculation the player has to do in Marvel Snap. DC Dual Force is PC first. There's actually no announcement of a mobile version.
Good. Nice. I am a PC gamer. Good for DC if this is the case, brother.
Of the game, but I would be absolutely shocked if Dual Force does not intend to release on mobile. Though, like I said, currently PC is the only announced platform as is.
Exactly. There are other games that release first for PC, like the granddaddy of all of these, Hudson. They release for PC, but then they release their mobile version. So I would be amazed if this Dual Force didn't launch a mobile version, because it will be a bad business decision. You have to have a mobile version if you are a card game in today's game market, you know, because there is a lot of money there. You don't want to miss on that money, you know.
And that's where the game will initially release. They haven't confirmed this, but there's 40 card decks in DC Dual Force. This is based on an early prototype design document that we have access to, or that we had access to. They've actually taken that document down, so I won't show you the document because I took
Yo, Jimmy, my brother!
my video down covering that same document, because obviously they don't want it out there because they took it down. So I won't share that with you, but I will let you know that there are 40 card decks. There are 3 different card types in DC Dual Force. Previously they were called leaders, minions, and actions, but now we know that they're called leaders, recruits, and I assume that they're still called actions, but I guess we technically don't know that for sure. But there are 3 card types. There's no cap on the number of turns you can have in a DC Dual Force game. Games end with one player losing both of their leaders. You control 2 different leaders in Dual Force, and as soon as you've lost both of them, you lose the game. DC Dual Force.
Yo soy muy bueno, papi. Yo juego mucho. No te preocupes. I am just telling my friend, he's telling me in Spanish that he hopes I lose today as he lost yesterday, but I am telling him that I am too good. I am not going to lose today.
Force has packs. There are other ways to acquire cards, and we'll talk about that probably sometime in the future in a new video, but for now, just know that there are packs in the game, so it's closer to like a traditional card game monetization system, though there's a little bit more in there, and again, we'll talk about that in the future. And then lastly, DC Dual Force has a combat system, so already just between
so already you can see that the games are pretty different. What I said earlier, I don't know if they are competing directly, because you see this mobile PC, 12 card decks, 40 card decks, 1 card type, 3 card types so far, because maybe they come up with another card type. We don't have a cap on the turns. They will probably have packs, and we know for sure that there is a combat system. This is cool. This is cool, brother. So the games are different, which means that you don't have to pick one. You can play both. You want combat, you play DC. You don't want combat, you play Marvel. That is all.
These surface level differences, you can see that the games are wildly different. One thing we didn't even mention on the Dual Force side is that Dual Force has this upgrade system where if you play a card, it upgrades itself and you get access to a stronger version of it. Already, that's another unique mechanic that is completely separating the two. Marvel Snap's version of that would be something like locations, right? That's a very unique gameplay mechanic that is specific to Marvel Snap that you won't see in other digital card games. And of course, there are plenty more things that we could mention that separate the two of these games. Holistically, though, I would say Marvel Snap.
By the way, this robust PvE aspect of DC Dual Force is something that people want. I'll be honest, I am not much of a card PvE gamer myself. I will play it for sure, and I will probably enjoy it, but it's not something that I put much value on. My focus is PvP, but a lot of people want to experience PvE, and to them, the fact that Marvel Snap has no PvE is a downside for the game. And DC Dual Force is coming right out of the gate with a strong PvE focus, brother.
To be as approachable as possible. Very fundamentally, they looked at what card games are. They've stripped away
Yo, Forrest, my dude, how you doing, brother?
Everything that is unnecessary, and then they added some unique mechanics on top of it to give themselves an identity. And that identity was locations and the cube system. If I had to sum up both games in a single sentence, it would look something like this. I'd say Marvel Snap is a card game whose target audience is people who haven't played card games before. It's trying to acquire a new audience that would otherwise perhaps not be interested in the genre, while still maintaining enough of the genre's core identity to still intrigue a traditional card game player. And DC Dual Force, I would say, is a traditional card game whose target audience is card game players, while still being approachable enough to entice new players who otherwise wouldn't play the genre. Everything I just said isn't supposed to.
I can agree with those statements. Yes, and maybe that is why you hear that card gamers are the one that complain the most about Marvel because they are not 100% the target for the game, you know, and that is why more casual people like the game the most and are getting used to being card gamers through Marvel Snap, you know. But you know that people that have played a lot of card games are the one that complain the most about Marvel Snap, you know.
To be as black and white as it sounds. Of course, Marvel Snap appeals to card game players. I'm a card game player. I play Marvel Snap. And of course, Dual Force will appeal to non-card game players. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of DC fans who want to play the game who haven't played a card game before. In fact, Dual Force is more approachable than it seems. I mean, even though the mechanics are perhaps maybe quote-unquote more in-depth than Marvel Snap, you'll have an easy...
I'll be honest, it maybe won't be that complicated. I have not played a card game that is really complicated in terms of the rules. Maybe when you wanna master it, it gets complicated. But it is not that hard, brother. It is not that hard. Maybe Magic the Gathering must be the most complicated one. But Hearthstone is simple. Legends of Runeterra is simple. What is the other one? Gwent is simple. And Marvel Snap is simple. All you need to do is learn the rules. Of course, mastering the games is hard. A high-level Gwent is hard as fuck. But it is not that complicated to get into, you know. Yo, Jay Collins, brother, how you doing, my dude? Celote, I love you too, my brother. You watched this video early? Oh, okay. Well, we are halfway through, brother. And now you have my opinions on top of it, so I give it like 100% more value, brother.
Easier onboarding process because the game's systems should be introduced to you very smooth.
But so far it is a really good video. My brother Willow makes really good videos, brother. He has been producing high quality content for DC Dual Force. So if you guys don't follow him, you should give him a follow, a subscribe, or whatever if you are interested in DC Dual Force.
Smoothly, because I'm sure they're going to try to integrate you into PvE first of all. I mean, if you're really overwhelmed by Dual Force's depth of systems, you don't even ever have to play PvP. You could exclusively stick to PvE if you want to, because that mode sounds really robust. I feel like the average player probably doesn't even need to ever play PvP. But obviously that's to be determined, and we'll have to wait and see how much content is actually in PvE. I want to be clear though. Neither of these approaches are bad. Focusing on the mobile experience and targeting new players is fantastic. That's great. Focusing on a rich PvE experience and targeting a slightly different demographic or a slightly different audience, that's also great. But they are...
Of course, that is something that some people have said to me when I'm pissed off at Marvel Snap, and they say, brother, you are pissed off because you are not the target audience. And you are trying them to target you, and that is not going to happen. And I can see that being true, and that is probably true, bro. That is probably true. But the thing is, I like Marvel Snap a lot. The gameplay, I like Marvel Snap a lot. I have a problem is with the monetization, but I like the game. Never forget that, brother.
Are very dramatically different approaches.
Yo, Raptor, my dude, Garitz, how are you guys doing, brother? How are you guys doing? We are over here, you know, with the DC Dual Force versus Marvel Snap conversation.
And because of that, I expect the audience of both games to be fairly different, if not literally just because of the lengths of games. Marvel Snap games are very, very fast. Dual Force games will not be fast, especially because compared to the first time we saw the game and the most recent time we saw the game, the defense values of leaders have gone up pretty dramatically. So games might even go longer than what we thought they would originally. I also see, every so often I see someone on Twitter or something say, you know, DC copied Marvel by, they saw them doing a card game and they said, well, we got to get a slice of that pie. And if
I know what he is already going to say, because I am going to give you the answer. That is not true. DC Dual Force has been in development before. In fact, DC Dual Force was announced before Marvel Snap was announced. The thing is that they haven't given it much publicity, you know. They haven't promoted the game enough so far. So, but DC Dual Force has been in development for a long time, and the game was announced, and you can check this out on their profile pages on their social media. Has been in development before was announced before Marvel Snap was announced. So that is not true. And it doesn't mean that Marvel Snap then copied DC because they were doing a card game. No, brother. These two companies were creating simultaneously a card game because, you know what? Card games are cool. A lot of people are coming up with card games. They both thought it was a good idea to create card games, so they did it. It doesn't mean that one had to copy the other, brother.
If the previous part of this video where we specifically discussed just how different these two games are didn't manage to convince you, let's go over the timeline really quickly just because I think it's important to have out there. DC Dual Force was originally revealed back in 2021, so quite a long time ago. Now, from what I understand, part of Cryptozoic Entertainment has broken off into CCG Labs, and now that company is now running the project. I'm not exactly sure what that transition looked like. I'm not exactly sure if CCG Labs has any connection to Cryptozoic anymore. I legitimately have no idea. So I'm not going to begin to speculate on that. For now, we know that Cryptozoic were previously developing it, and now CCG Labs is. And from what I understand, some of CCG Labs' staff is made up of previous Cryptozoic staff. Again, I don't know.
Which is cool, because if the whole thing completely changes, we make the rail in the direction of the game. But if you have some people that were working before on the game and they transfer to the new team, then you still have some of that vision in there, you know. It is cool bringing new people, but not completely starting from scratch, you know.
What that process looked like, but that's what the before and after is. This process is probably what delayed the game from their original goal. They originally planned to launch in Q3 of 2022, which is again their original.
Yes, they already had announced, no, the game is coming in 2022, and the game didn't come out, and maybe this is one of the reasons it didn't happen. At that point, I wasn't aware of the game, so I am not that mad about it. That the game didn't come out, but now I am hyped and now I am waiting for the game. But now we know that the game is just weeks away, which is pretty cool, brother.
Goal. That transition process that we just talked about, that was probably what delayed the game for so long. Marvel Snap, on the other hand, was announced 6 months later in April of 2022. So DC Dual Force was actually announced well and truly before Marvel Snap was.
Exactly.
Now, technically, that's not the full story. Second Dinner revealed back in 2019 that they were working on a Marvel game, and given that the chief development officer is Ben...
I didn't know that, brother. I heard for the first time about Marvel Snap on April 28, 22. That was the first time that I heard about Marvel Snap. I didn't know that this Second Dinner announces they are developing a Marvel game in 2019. I didn't know that, bro.
Road. It was a pretty safe guess that that game was going to be a card game. So if you were really intent on saying Dual Force copied Marvel Snap, you could say some guy at Warner Brothers saw the video on Second Dinner's channel and decided that they needed to invest a bunch of resources and money into a project to attempt to compete with Marvel for a game that...
Yes, of course. This theory doesn't have any sustainability, brother. I don't know, any sustent. Obviously, they were both developing a card game simultaneously without copying each other.
At this point was going to be first to market anyway, which quite frankly sounds absurd. Realistically, the two games are entirely separate from each other, from concept to execution. But because they both feature cards and they both feature superheroes, the comparisons are, well, inevitable. And unfortunately, the average person is always going to assume DC Dual Force was a response to Marvel Snap, but I think it's pretty reasonable based on the information we've laid out in this video that was almost...
Now, obviously, DC Dual Force is not a response to Marvel Snap. They were already developing the game, but Marvel Snap released first. What DC should do, in my opinion, is learn for Marvel Snap mistakes and exploit those mistakes to their advantage. In my opinion, if you are I don't know, a ruthless businessman, this is what you do. You know, you see that Marvel Snap is having problems with the collection, with the economic side of things, then you exploit that and you say, we have a better collection system, we have a better economic side or whatever, you know. You try to differentiate yourself from them to get an advantage. You say, we have a PvE mode, we have this and we have that. Not necessarily bashing on Marvel Snap directly, but focusing on things that you don't have, that they don't have, or that you have better than them. and that is how you differentiate from them. Maybe they don't want to do it because they don't see themselves as a directly competition with the Snap. But let me tell you, the companies may not see it as a direct competition because they say, well, we have a more complex game, we have PvE modes, we have a more robust collection, we don't need to compete with Marvel Snap, we are appealing to different player bases. But people are going to compare the games. It is inevitable. As Willow is saying in here, they both are card games and they are both superheroes and they are based on Marvel and DC, two companies that have been having this debate for over 50 years about who's better. And there are people that, no, I like DC and Marvel sucks. And there are people that, no, I like Marvel and DC sucks. So it doesn't matter what the company believes. People are going to create this rivalry, you know. So take advantage of it, brother. Take advantage of it and try to exploit it to your advantage and make the game better than the other game. That is what I would do. That is what I would do. Apparently, Marvel Snap was supposed to fix the issues of other card games, but then the game itself has its own problems. Well, yes, in terms of gameplay, I can see how they fix things. For example, they said games were too long because you have to wait for the other person. Now turns are simultaneous. That is a good idea, brother. I believe that is a good idea. For example, one of the problems other games had was that the player who goes first has an advantage. Marvel Snap completely fixed that because no one goes first because you play simultaneously. Yes, you have the initiative system, but that is another system completely. There is no first turn or person that goes first and person that goes second because both players play at the same time. So yes, Marvel Snap in terms of gameplay solved a lot of stuff. They are awesome in there, brother. Cool, good ideas. But in terms of monetization, they created new problems. Marvel will always be first to market with regards to the rivalry. DC needs to be patient to offset this with a quality product. Probably true, probably true. That makes me hate life right now. Oh, brother, stop. I've been enjoying the gameplay this last week because things changed a bit after the patch. But in terms of new cars and monetization and at this point, I am not even mad about the cost of cars. I have already ranted a lot about that. But I believe the cadence of new cars and the quantity of new cars is also stupid. And we don't have enough new stuff to enjoy. And we don't have game modes, as Raptor says all the time too. And that is harming the game, in my opinion. But right now, I am enjoying the meta game, by the way. But this balance stuff and checking the meta can only go so far, because you may have noticed in this at this point, yes, when they introduce a new patch and they balance things, the meta kind of changes, but it changes to what? To ideas that we have had before, to recycle ideas. What are the strongest decks right now? The Ram deck with Sandman, the Doom Wave deck, the Patriot deck. We have had these ideas since the beta, brother. So what you are doing is you bring other decks down, you bring other decks up. And yes, that is fun, but there will come a point that everything has been tried. Well, we are already at that point, and we have nothing new. There is no new archetype, there is no new deck. You are just changing what deck is the strongest one, and these are just recycled ideas, and that turns out to be boring. So you need new cards, you need new archetypes, you need new propositions, new ways of playing the game, so people don't burn out. And this release cadence is not doing that. It's not doing it, brother. 52 cards. They are releasing one card a week. Those are 52 cards a year. Too few cards. Too few cards. You need to fix this, Marvel Snap. If you don't do this, I guarantee that it's going to be a problem for you. I am willing to put money on this shit. I use some care for the token system at the moment, so not that fuss at getting as many tokens as possible. The only card I want is a evolutionary, as everybody. As many others, exactly. We all are saving tokens for the high evolutionary, brother. Yes, I miss opening card in boxes. Buying a card every few weeks with tokens just doesn't feel good. It does not feel good. By the way, why the fuck I am in the Diablo 4? in the Diablo 4 category, brother. I changed it to the Marvel Snap. Exactly, buying one card a month with tokens, and some months you don't buy anything. I haven't bought anything this month because I don't give a fuck about any of these cards, and I am saving my tokens for the 2 cards that are going to be released next month, that are High Evolutionary and the Living Tribunal. So I have like a month and a half without new cards. This is stupid as fuck, brother. That is not exciting, brother. They need to add teams or factions bonuses as another layer. Who? DC? Hope you don't leave a snap, Yazarus Legend. I am not leaving a snap, brother. I am adding DC Dual Force to my games, and of course Diablo 4. But that doesn't mean that I am leaving a snap. Don't worry about it, brother. I am not leaving a snap. Even the gameplay is irking me at the moment. Maybe Conquest Mode will change it. Brother, I am excited for Conquest Mode. I want to play Conquest Mode. But again, it is because I am a competitive person. I like those type of modes, you know. But I don't think that the vast majority of Marvel players that like Snap because it is a fast-paced game will like Conquest Mode because they will say it takes too long. Conquest Mode will be for tryhard players, exactly. Need more casual game modes like a draft mode. Draft mode will be cool, but I don't know if draft mode is casual, but it is a cool game mode. I like it. Even Twitch wants you to stop playing Marvel Snap and play D4 instead. Oh, that was a mistake that I did, brother. I haven't bought anything in like 2 months. I have like 16k tokens for it. Yes, brother, what was the last thing I bought? The Negasonic Teenage Warhead. And that was a mistake. That card sucks. And I have like 12k tokens right now. Would be nice to get a bonus for using X-Men. Oh yes, I agree completely with that. They could have labels for cards, you know, like hero, villain, teams, mutant, symbiote, I don't know, inhuman, Avenger, stuff like that. It will be cool, brother.
Most certainly not the case. Maybe there's some possible way, like maybe some behind the scenes info jumped ahead, like, but again,
Yo, Willow, my brother, you rate me, my dude, and I am watching your video. That is so fucking cool. Thanks a lot, Willow, brother. Thanks a lot, my brother. And I am watching your video, DC Dual Force versus Marvel Snap. We have been talking about this for 40 fucking minutes, brother. I am a master at extending videos. We have been talking about it, brother. It is a cool video, by the way. We are almost at the end, brother.
I think that idea is absurd. But at the end of the day, Marvel Snap released in 2022 and Dual Force is going to release in 2023. And even though acquiring funding for the game, designing the game, developing the game, and launching a free-to-play card game for both PvE and PvP.
Oh, that is cool, brother. Thanks a lot, bro. Thanks a lot for the rate, my dude. That is cool.
In that 12-month window is essentially impossible. People are always going to think,
yo, King Sammy, thanks for the follow. You're fucking awesome. Thanks a lot. I hope you enjoy the stream. I hope you enjoy.
that Dual Force was some type of response to Snap. I don't even blame the average person for thinking that, because, you know, the average person doesn't.
Yo, Beast, my dude, thanks a lot for the follow. You're fucking awesome. We are great, Otona, brother. I hope that is why you pronounce the name, Otona Noaji. Brother, thanks a lot, bro. Thanks a lot for the follow. Garitz, in the video screen, the clips don't reproduce.
Doesn't pay attention to this stuff, but it's a little sad to see media outlets fall into that trap. In conclusion, though, if you like the fast-paced games of Snap, leveraging cubes, and the high variance that games offer with things like locations, then Snap is for you. If you like...
By the way, that is something cool that I think DC will have, that they don't have the snap mechanic. If you know me, I have ranted about the snap mechanic before. I believe that the snap mechanic is revolutionary and has some cool things, like the ability to bet your MMR, because let's be honest, betting cubes is basically betting your MMR. I believe that is revolutionary. It is a really cool idea. But in practice, it turns out to be not that good in my opinion. You are retreating a lot, the opponent is retreating a lot, not a lot of games go to the last turn, and the last turn is the most fun turn. So maybe the snap mechanic is not that great, and the dual force doesn't have a snap mechanic, so you will reach the end of your games, which in my opinion is a good thing.
Individual games to be a tad more important, a tad more meaningful, and as a consequence of that, maybe they're going to be a bit longer. There's going to be more card types, larger decks. There's going to be PvE. Perhaps PvE is a big draw for you. Then Dual Force is probably more for you. Or perhaps you just like card games and you just like superheroes, in which case both games are probably for you. All right, well, with that, I'm going to sign off and never talk about Snap versus DC Dual Force ever again. Keep being awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Yo, bro, thanks a lot for this video, Willow. It's really, really good. I like the video, and yes, I know that you are going to say every time someone asks you, what do you think about this that Snap has or that DC Dual Force has? And you are going to say, go and watch my DC Dual Force versus Marvel Snap video. Don't bother me with that shedding here, brother. I think the snap mechanic is both good and bad. It makes the game more poker-esque. I agree. In fact, that is a thing that we think instantly when we see the snap mechanic. Oh, it is like poker. I can't retreat if my hand is bad, and it is good. That is why I praised the snap mechanic when I started playing Marvel Snap. Like, wow, this is awesome. How did they think about it? This is a revolutionary mechanic. But as time went on, I have started to like it less, you know. But I still think it is original, an original idea. Yes, great video. Guys, if you like Willow, I know a lot of people here like Willow because he rated us, but for the people that isn't from the raid, if you like Snap and DC Dual Force, he's creating a lot of cool videos for DC Dual Force, so you can give him a subscribe, a follow, or whatever. He also streams here on Twitch, of course, and you can follow him here too.